in the future. And I'd first like to begin by introducing our county executive, Mark Elrich, and ask him to come give a few remarks. Thank you.
So I'm really happy to be here today. I love this model because this model is probably the most effective implementation of BRT anywhere. And you actually see increasingly around the country the repurposing of existing lanes. It doesn't get less expensive than that. Basically, that's paint out there. And then putting in decent stops to go along with it is going to be, real, I think, benefit for this community. I've started riding public transportation when I was a kid. I still remember the trolleys in D.C. that did a turnaround at Eastern Avenue and Georgia Avenue. So that's how far back I go. And I think my most famous bus ride is I took the bus to Dr. King's March on Washington when I was like 13 years old. And it was a combination of a bus in Montgomery County and then the bus that went from Silver Spring. So I've ridden buses before, and I know they're really important. They're a vital way for people to get around the community, and in communities, particularly lower income communities that don't have the incomes for cars, or they have one car and they have multiple workers, somebody's taking public transportation. And so having reliable transportation that is frequent, transportation that goes to the right places is really, really critical. There are going to be multiple ride-on routes. One of the major, this is a ride-on route. Hopefully over time, these ride-on routes will become the home of the BRTs, and ride-on will evolve to serve the BRT network. And that's where we're ultimately going with all this. One of our biggest projects is the project from Wheaton to Rockville along Veers Mill Road. And obviously Veers Mill Road connecting to this is another opportunity for people here to get to Wheaton, to get to Rockville, to be able to travel up and down the pike on what will ultimately be bus rapid transit on Rockville Pike, as well as go down on the subway from Georgia Avenue, wherever else you're going. So there's a lot of connectivity that comes when we start putting things like this in place. We're looking for ways to support metro buses. About 9,300 riders per day ride the Metro C2 and C4 bus lines on University Boulevard. We've looked at BRT as being not just a Montgomery County thing, but we're agnostic to whose buses run on the system, as long as we have buses running on the system and running on the system regularly. This is the first major roadway in the county, and it's the largest dedicated bus lane in the county to date. The new dedicated lines provide transit riders with a faster, more reliable service, and we're really excited about being able to say that to people. We're working on bus priority projects to put more of these bus lanes in. Something like this may be the treatment you see on Georgia Avenue, for example, when Metro shuts down for 3 months or 4 months or however long it takes the Purple Line to fix that part of the road. When we do that, this is the most logical thing to do on Georgia Avenue, is to paint the lane in and let the buses run on Georgia Avenue, because that's a lot of people who are not going to be able to get transit. And we don't want those people going in cars, so we're going to have to pick them up and make it possible for them to use transit to get to work. This is going to advance our goals. These lanes, it's, like I said, it's the first major roadway. It's the largest dedicated bus lane in the county. It's 2 miles in each direction right now. And the dedicated lanes along the corridor will help reduce the delay in bus transit times caused by traffic congestion about 20%. And as buses runs faster, more people ride the buses. There is a wealth of information in transportation data that shows the closer that the bus trips approximates a car trip, the more people switch to a bus. And so that timing difference actually makes a real difference whether people are going to choose a bus or whether they're going to stay in their car. It operates like light rail. It's going to go up and down the corridor buses every 7 to 15 minutes, depending on the time of day. Off-board payment, things like signal priority, and in these dedicated bus lanes. And signal priority is kind of like the holy grail of all this, because if the bus doesn't have to wait at lights, if the bus has the ability to switch lights so that the bus can go through, it gives it a real advantage over automobiles. And if you're sitting in a car in a line of traffic and you see the buses going by you and then going through a light, you might think twice about whether you want to make that car trip again. So we're excited about where this is going. I already told you about Veers Mill 350, Veers Mill, also 355 is getting flash lanes and part of it, and you're going to see more flash coming to this quarter. So we're excited about where we're going. we continue to be hampered in Montgomery County, to be honest, in our ability to build things. We've been making the case that Northern Virginia's taxing districts and their style of taxing, which does not rely on residents, but relies on commercial taxes, allows them to pour money into their transit programs that we never see in Montgomery County. Northern Virginia Transit Authority puts about $500 million a year into Northern Virginia counties. And that doesn't count the property taxes and other taxes in Northern Virginia counties that are dedicated solely to transportation, amounts of money that dwarf anything we get from the state and anything we generate internally. So we're hoping eventually to get the authority to do that, because it would be a game changer for Montgomery County and would allow us to compete with Virginia in terms of providing the public transportation that we need. Benefits of public transit: every $10 million in a capital investment results in $30 million in increased business sales, and $10 million in transportation operating investment yields about $32 million in increased business sales. And that's just the business sales part of it. When business sales go up and a place becomes more attractive, more businesses want to locate there. If they feel their customers can get there, their workforce can get there, it makes other people feel like maybe we should go and locate in this place. And that's where we're hoping we get to go with this. And obviously there are climate implications of bus rapid transit. We have 14 zero emission buses. We have a contract for 100 more within the next 3 years. Our big challenge in buses is getting delivery of the buses from the companies and the supply chain. But when those buses come, it's going to make a huge difference in our emissions output. And this also provides equity for our average county bus rider. Their income of an average bus rider is about $35,000. That's about a fourth of the Montgomery County's average wage. We call it area median income, and that's a challenge. So who's riding the bus, and it's really all the more important for them to have the buses available to them. The lanes are also going to support school buses, which should be a big help in the morning, not having the school buses lumbering through traffic. It should help gets the kids' schools faster and safer. And Northwood is right down there, and Blair is just to the south of it. So this is going to be something I think a lot of people are going to see benefits from. I'm very happy to be doing this. I want to thank our team, Chris Conklin and everybody in your department who helps make this possible. I want to thank the state for the support you've given us. I want to thank WMATA for partnering with us on this together. Doing this together, we can make this a success, and I think we set the stage for doing more and more of this in Montgomery County. So thank everybody very much for being here. And I think I'm turning it over to WMATA Senior Vice President for Bus Services, Leroy Jones.
Good morning, all. As mentioned, I'm Leroy Jones, I'm Senior Vice President for WMATA. And on behalf of the Metro Board of Directors and our General Manager, Randy Clark, I really just want to take the opportunity to thank Montgomery County for inviting us to participate in such an important event. County Executive Elbridge, really just want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership over the years and your support for transit. It has not gone unnoticed, and thanks for being a great partner to WMATA. Also, in addition, I do want to thank Chris Conklin. Chris, you've been a great partner to work with on the National Capital Region Bus Leaders Committee. And just day to day, I know right now our team is working with your team and the State Highway Administration and we're in the planning stages for providing the best possible shuttle service we can for the Red Line shutdown that's coming up this summer to support the Purple Line project. So I want to take a moment to touch on 2 points of our 4 goals in the Metro Strategic Transformation Plan. First, regional opportunity. This event is a great example of that. Regional partnerships with local jurisdictions allow our buses to travel more efficiently throughout corridors throughout the region. It really helps us provide the best possible service for all of our customers. It's really important. And this really ties into the second goal that I want to touch on, service excellence. Without the partnerships, we cannot achieve service excellence. For Metro, service excellence really means delivering safe, reliable, convenient, equitable, accessible, and enjoyable transit services for our customers. For Metro Bus, our team strives daily to achieve this goal. Projects like this will continue improving the customer experience as well as the overall bus customer satisfaction, with the hope of not just maintaining current customers, but absolutely trying to attract new customers to get onto the bus, because the bus is a viable option for transportation in our region. I do just want to talk a little bit about our ridership. Right now, we're seeing ridership growth in bus. We're at 97% of pre-pandemic. We're seeing some weekdays exceed over 400,000 riderships. And with that being said, here in Montgomery County, our C2 and C4 bus routes are some of the busiest routes in our system, with over 12,000 average weekday customers based on our recent ridership data. 89% of those customers are persons of color, and 67% of the customers that I just referenced belong to low-income households. And I think County Executive Mark Elrich did a great job highlighting $35,000. So it's really important to make sure that we think about that and the benefits. Who benefits from this the most? It's folks who actually need the service. Average bus speeds on the C2 and C4 route is just 12.9 miles per hour, and we know that's not really fast, and it's not very efficient. But these new dedicated bus lanes are a great benefit to our C2 and C4 bus customers because they offer a more efficient and more reliable service. The dedicated bus lanes also provide a safer operating environment for our bus operators. I've had the opportunity to ride this route since it's been painted red, and I had the opportunity to also talk to some of our bus operators. We're seeing less cars in the bus lanes, and it's making life a little easier for them. So in closing, we really do look forward to further extensions of these bus lanes throughout Montgomery County. It's really important to make this route even more attractive to customers. And also committing to projects such as dedicated bus lanes provide access to quality transportation options for bus customers. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Will Pine, State Highway Administrator, and I want to just take a moment to echo the gratitude to the entire team at WMATA and Montgomery County for all the great work here. Secretary Wiedefeld sends his well wishes and excitement for this really phenomenal project, and I'm happy to be here in his place to emphasize the importance of partnership between the state, local, and regional stakeholders on projects just like this dedicated bus lane. The department is committing to building safe, accessible, reliable, multimodal transportation system that supports the needs of our customers. To achieve this, coordination and collaboration with our transportation partners, yeah, it's exciting, I know. Coordination and collaboration with our transportation partners is critical when advancing essential projects in this region and across the state. When we're able to deliver an integrated and connected transportation network, we are at the same time supporting economic and social mobility for the communities that we are here to serve. This pilot project was achievable because of the strong coordination and partnership that we have between Montgomery County, MDOT as a whole, WMATA, as well as the dedicated advocacy of the county's state and local elected leaders. And I know many of them are here today. I want to thank them, and let's give them a round of applause. State Highway Administration was poised to coordinate early with Montgomery County DOT and WMATA on the initial scoping of this pilot. And at SHA, we know that our roads connect people to life's opportunities. And that's whether you're on foot, bike, transit, or in a car. We look forward to seeing the benefits of this project over the coming months and to continue to partner together so that we can deliver transportation system that Maryland deserves. Again, I want to thank you for having me this morning and celebrate this important pilot project. Now I'm going to turn it off to our council president. Thank you.
Good morning, and it is a good morning. I am so excited to be here. I'm Andrew Friedson. I'm honored and privileged to serve as the president of the Montgomery County Council, and so excited to be here to dedicate this bus lane. We are talking about buses, and it's important to remember that buses and transit are about environmental sustainability, they're about equity, and they're about economic development. This transit route is a critical connection point to connect people from their jobs and their homes to their communities each and every day. It's estimated that somebody saves approximately $8,000 a year by choosing to give up their car and utilize transit. $8,000 a year. And you heard earlier from the county executive, the average income of our bus riders in Montgomery County is $35,000. So think about saving $8,000 a year if we can make that a competitive, reliable alternative to car travel. And we know that it's not just about people who must make the choice to use transit and to use buses. It needs to be about having it be a competitive, reliable choice that everybody could make to use transit on a day-to-day basis in order to sustain our environmental goals, in order to move forward with our economic development priorities. So this really is an opportunity for us to prioritize transit, not just in our words and not just in our funding, but literally in the infrastructure that we build and how we build it and how we repurpose it, so that we can ensure that we are not just moving forward with things like electric buses and working in collaboration and coordination with the county executive. The county council recently approved $46 million to accelerate our electric bus purchasing. So we are committing with funding, but today this is part of a broader effort to make sure that we are committing and prioritize with the actual public infrastructure that we have, to make sure that we are ensuring that transit and that our bus service is a reliable, competitive alternative to driving in a car each and every day. That way we can meet those economic goals, we can meet those equity goals, and we can meet and hopefully exceed our environmental sustainability goals. So thank you for being here. Thank you to WMATA. Thank you to State Highway Administration. Thank you to our Department of Transportation in Montgomery County. Thank you to the county executive and colleagues on the county council. And thank you to the community who has really stepped up to support this effort and to welcome these changes in our community to make our roads safer, to make our communities stronger, and to help to build a more equitable, more inclusive, more environmentally sustainable community. So thank you so much. And now let me introduce the chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee, my colleague, Councilmember Evan Glass.
Good morning, everybody. I was so excited to be here today that I took a sneak peek and hopped on the C2 to ride the dedicated bus lanes to get here. And it was a smooth and fast ride. And, you know, that is what this project is all about. Making sure that members of our community who are transit dependent are able to safely get around our community, to go to school, to go to work, to run daily errands, and to do so in a safe, reliable, and affordable way. We know that the average household income in Montgomery County is $108,000, yet the household income of our average bus rider is $35,000. So this is about equity, and it is about our environment, and it is about making sure we have the infrastructure for more people to safely travel around our community. And as we take up the capital budget right now, we have more investments throughout the county that we are going to make, not only for more dedicated bus routes, but for more greener buses to make sure we meet our environmental goals as well. So in total, these red bus lanes here on University are just one of the investments that we are making to make sure that we have more electric vehicles, more dedicated bus lines, and ultimately allow more people to travel safely throughout Montgomery County and the region. And we have to center ourselves in that future. And so I'm excited. I'm going to continue taking the C2 back home, where then I have to take the Z8 to get back to my neighborhood. But it is a safe and efficient system. And someone who knows about the safe and efficient systems here in the Wheaton area is the district council member. So now let me introduce Councilmember Natalie Fani-Gonzalez.
Good morning, my name is Natalie Fani-Gonzalez, and the first thing I thought when I finally. So the bus only lanes here is when I came to the United States. I was 16 years old with my mom, and I lived in Langley Park. And because we were low income, I was undocumented, the only job that I could do back then was cleaning houses. So I would take the bus from Langley Park to Chevy Chase, and I will take the C4 from Langley Park to Wheaton to transfer all the way to Chevy Chase, and it will take forever. So think about the people who are going to greatly benefit from having a transit system that gets them to places fast. It will take me 2 hours from Langley Park to Chevy Chase. That's ridiculous, mostly because of transit, for all the traffic that we had. So making sure that we are actually uplifting our low-income communities and making sure that they have, they can get to places fast is something that we should embrace. It should be part of our values, and we're doing it in Montgomery County, and I'm so happy they're moving that way. So that's number one. Number two, making sure that, Northwood High School is nearby, as the county executive mentioned, and I live 2 minutes away from here. And I see every now and then all these kids walking on the sidewalk, and it really freaks me out because you see all these cars thinking that this is a highway and going so fast. But now that we have this bus only lane, you're creating a buffer between the sidewalk and the fast lanes. And that's also really positive things that is happening especially for kids and people who are disabled, people who are rolling. When I say rolling, people who are on wheelchairs, okay? So that's another point. And the last point I will make, just because I love to push the envelope and I can't help myself, you mentioned that, Metro's gonna shut down because of the Purple Line, which is great. I'm excited that after 30 years, we're finally gonna see the Purple Line. But in order to make sure that people can actually get to places when the Metro shuts down, I honestly think that we need to have a bus only lane on Georgia Avenue too. So that's your homework. Thank you.
Well, good morning, good people. My name is Gabe Albornoz, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as one of your 4 at-large members of the County Council and also chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. I want to start my brief comments this morning by pointing out the on-point messaging of my colleague, Councilmember Evan Glass, who has socks that have bicycles, buses, and other forms of transportation on them. I looked at mine, and mine have Christmas trees, so that probably means I need to do some laundry. But it also means that this represents a present to our community, that this is a very special day here before us. And the angle that I want to take that hasn't been touched on yet this morning is that we've recently instituted, in partnership with the county executive, a health and all policies approach to Montgomery County, acknowledging that public health is vital, obviously, and foundational to all of us. Well, in a recent survey conducted by our Department of Health and Human Services, after affordable and accessible and quality health insurance, the number, or lack thereof, the number one barrier to accessing medical care was transportation for too many of our residents. And we know that having a dedicated bus lane that gets to and from people more reliably and more quickly will make it more likely for them to go to medical appointments, dental appointments, and support their families. And so this is a win in every conceivable way. It's a win for our environment, it's a win for our economy, but it is also a win for our public health. So I am thrilled to be here this morning on this absolutely spectacularly gorgeous day. And now it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Chris Conklin, the director of our county's Department of Transportation, who had played a big role in getting us here today.
Well, thank you so much, Gabe, and thanks to all the speakers. And after you are up at a podium after 8 smart people have talked, there's probably not a lot left to say. But I'll say a couple things. First, I want to thank the community for being involved in this. We have some representatives from that community here today. Jim Epstein from the Wheaton Urban District Advisory Committee, Chris Farrell from the Kemp Mill Civic Association, Lev Boonin from Action Committee for Transit. I want to thank all of them for engagement in this. I also want to give a personal thanks to Gary Ehrenrich, who was a longtime staff member at Montgomery County DOT, who led our interactions with WMATA and led the community engagement process for this. So that was really important, and Luisa Cardona and her folks in the Urban District and Regional Service Center also helped facilitate all that work. This wouldn't have happened without the efforts of one particular individual, though, and that's Michael Paler, who's our Division Chief for Traffic Engineering and Operations. His work was really essential to figure out the details of this and how it could actually work on this, and then to work with our colleagues at State Highway Administration to come up with marking plans, signing plans, and everything that would maintain safety and allow this to be implemented. So really strong effort from that group. I won't talk more about the benefits of this, although in my mind the safety benefits of this are the principal reason that we moved forward with this project, to lower car speeds and create greater separation between those cars and cyclists and pedestrians using this road. That is the primary thing for me, in addition to the transit benefits. But to tell a little bit of the story about how we got here, this is actually a product of thinking that went on during the height of the pandemic. There was a working group that involved Montgomery County Department of Transportation and the Montgomery County Planning Department that set out to see how can we make changes to our transportation network based on the patterns in different usage we were seeing during the pandemic. And you may all remember the bike lane pilot that was here on University Boulevard, and clearly that project had mixed reviews. Some people really thought it was a great implementation, other people really disliked the environment that it created on this road, but we were able to learn from that. And as an organization like ours and with our partners, we do better when we learn from our experience. So we looked at that. There were good outcomes, there were bad outcomes, but we learned that the road would still function fine with one less lane of traffic. We learned that that did provide a buffer to the sidewalks. We learned that it did reduce conflicts with driveways. There were a number of things that were positive from that we learned. And then we said, gee, if bike lanes weren't the answer, a bus lane's the answer. Let's try that. We began working with our friends at WMATA. They were able to look at analytics of bus delays, bus speeds, bus bunching areas, places where traffic impacted the bus operation. And while that's not the case for the entirety of this corridor, obviously you can see here we don't have that. There are locations along University Boulevard where the traffic conditions create significant friction for the buses. So it made sense to move forward from that regard. Then we talked with the State Highway Administration, and they said, yeah, the bike lane pilot worked okay from a traffic operations perspective. This project probably has fewer negatives and more positives, so let's figure out how to move forward. So then we continued to work on it. We then met with our county executive and said we'd like to set up a bus priority project that lets us do quick implementations. We all know that our long-term capital projects take a long time and require a lot of money, but we can make changes to the infrastructure quickly. And this is an example of that. So then we approached the county council. The county council vigorously supported that, and we implemented a project first off in Germantown with those funds. This was the second project. The third project is Veers Mill Road in Wheaton. And we're doing a similar project to this in the Gaithersburg area, where we're going to be implementing another 5 miles of bus lanes over the summer. So we're going to continue to learn from this. This is a pilot, but it's a pilot we expect to be permanent. We expect to evaluate this. We expect to learn from it. We expect to see what went well, what didn't go well, and we expect to adjust it as we learn from the operation of this facility, and then to continue this learning and apply these lessons to other roads around the county. So again, many, many people contributed to this. It was a true partnership between multiple agencies, and we were able to get this done with the funding that our elected officials were able to provide. So I want to thank them in particular for their continued support for these sorts of projects on our roads. And with that, we'd be happy to take some other photos and answer questions, and that's kind of the end of the formal part of the presentation today. So thank you all very much.